A wonderful good day, good afternoon, good evening, or even good morning, wherever you are in the world. From myself, Gaby Burt, here at The Journey. I've been with Brandon Bays and The Journey for over 25 years. And a few weeks ago, we decided we would start a little program called Real Talk to kind of talk about real life issues, real life stories, all of the stories we have come across over the years, what we have witnessed at our programs, what we have seen and been amazed by so many people from all walks of life and everywhere in the world. And to also invite a guest every week, and so that somebody can join me and you can hear many, many different aspects of what the journey is, what the journey does. And another reason we felt it important to start something like this is because we wanted to make the tools that the journey has to offer or offers more widely available. We decided about a month ago that we would drastically reduce the price of this entry-level seminar called the Journey Intensive to 70% of its full cost, because we are aware how severe these times are at the moment, how challenging times are. Petrol is going up, electricity is going up, all our food stores, everything that we buy on a daily basis is getting more expensive. And this is a time where we felt this is more important than ever before, that people have these tools, because we're getting triggered. We're getting fearful of what's happening in Europe with the war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, the natural disasters we have seen in Australia over the last couple of months, in South Africa. And, and we're only just kind of coming out of the pandemic. Well, here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's we're heading into summer. So who knows what's going to happen in September. So it comes from every direction, and how we're supposed to cope with all of that. And we know, all of us who've been in the journey and have been around the journey for so many years, we know that the tools that the journey offers can really support us and clear out those internal fears, all the stuff that gets triggered. And so that's what this program is about. We want to share these powerful tools with you, make sure that more people around the world have access to it. And today, my special guest is Lydia Hoyland, and she represents the journey in South Africa. And so Lydia, hi, Lydia. Good evening. So happy that you're here with me today. We didn't have our color charts out. So we're clashing a little bit in the pink and the red, but it's okay. And I'm just trying to say how powerful, potent, and yet how simple the journey tools are, and to make it more widely available for people, so that everybody can use it. And I just wanted to ask you, Lydia, I mean, you have represented the journey in South Africa for quite a few years now. I'm not quite sure how many, but we have known each other for many, many years. And what is the journey to you? What has brought you here in the first place? And what are some of the amazing stories that kind of stand out for you? And then also for some people who are joining us here today, if you have any questions, please feel free to join, to kind of put it in the comment box. And if we have the answer, if we can think of an answer, we will definitely share that with you here. Lydia.
Thank you, Gaby. Thank you so much for the invitation here. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to share with everybody as to what the journey really is for me. Is obviously it's all about cellular healing, especially in the olden days when we all got to the journey. And for me, it's really about clearing our unhealthy behaviors, clearing our patterns of fixation, our strategies of fear or hurt or sadness that arises for us, to find out, why do I behave the way I do? What is my conditioning underneath it all? I sometimes go into a situation and it will be okay the one day, and I go into the situation the next day and it's okay. And in the third or fourth day, the same situation arises, and all of a sudden I either flip out, or I sort of dump on somebody, or I withdraw and feel hurt inside it. But it was the same situation. So I get really excited about uncovering why is it the way my responses are showing up in life. And that I always take myself as the example because, I really thought when I came to the journey, man, I had life handled. I used to
Me
call
too,
myself,
me too.
I know. I really thought, I was living the perfect life. The lifestyle was fabulous. John and I had a computer company that was pretty successful, consulting company. I had the right address, had the right car label, all the stuff that makes you look successful. And I would project an image of not necessarily just being successful, but having life handled, being in charge, being in control. I was not weak, I was strong. Life was actually, if I look back, really difficult. I was divorced by then. My mum introduced me to the journey in 2000. She phoned out of nowhere saying, oh my gosh, I just watched this video with this woman, Brandon Bays, on television. We need to speak. Something happened in your life that I realize now, listening to how the body works, that one day you could get seriously ill. And I was like, oh, I'm living my best life here. And I'm getting this kind of, conversation from my mother, which is in the best times, the strangest conversation. Because we're close, but we don't really share stuff. So anyway, so my mum phoned me and she said, come, we need to chat. So I bought the book, The Journey, and I sent her a copy. And of course, I couldn't put the book down, And we had a chat and she shared to me why is it that she felt that, I could really get sick one day. And the essence of it all was when she was pregnant with me, my dad said I wasn't his child. So he left the household. He came back before I was born. But internally, when she said that to me, as painful as it was also as if a puzzle piece had gone into place. Because all my life I'd felt I wasn't worthy, I didn't belong, I wasn't part of life. So you would strive to become part of life, and I would be kind and generous so that just my friends would play with me today. But tomorrow would say to me, well, you're just too ugly, we're not playing with you today. And what does a young child do with that? So I never realized why was I separate from life. Growing up in a community that was very white, and I've got this wild curly hair, the olive skin, and I actually looked in my terms in those days like a colored in my community. And very apartheid days where there was massive separation, I felt separate. So anyway, when my mom shared this with me, of course we cried because it's a painful thing to hear. And a part of me felt inside, okay, there isn't something wrong with me, I am okay. So anyway, she shared this with me when I really thought my life was beautiful, I had a full life. The job was really stressful, highly stressful in terms of time and deadlines and all of that. But I didn't come to the journey because there was something wrong. I read the book. It really spoke to my heart. All the stories Brandon was sharing, I could feel they were my stories. And I thought, okay, maybe this is something for me. So my mum and I don't know if you remember Kailami on the track where the event was held. It was this traffic light. We turned right, and just after that, we went into the venue. But as traffic light being green for us, this huge, massive cat vehicle, those big tipper trucks came. It's bigger than our car. And he skipped the red robot. And he really missed us by a millisecond. And we both just knew in that moment that we were meant to be at this event. And that Sunday, I finally said goodbye to my dad. He died when I was 19. And I was out with friends I didn't even like, but I so wanted to belong that I wasn't there when my dad had his final heart attack, and I wasn't there to say goodbye. So I had this mantle of guilt around myself. I wasn't a good mum, I wasn't a good friend, I wasn't a good daughter, I was a good sister, I wasn't a good colleague. And wherever I went through life, this guilt was permeating through life. And when you are like that, not realizing it, I didn't even know that I had this guilt. I just knew I was striving. Single mom, 2 beautiful kids, busy lifestyle, busy job, go. And at the end of that journey intensive, the next week, I actually stopped and I realized that my nervous system was under such severe pressure that I was this close to a nervous breakdown. And I hadn't realized it because I was in control of my life. I had my life handled, and I would never show to anybody that I was struggling, that I was weak, that I wasn't coping. So at night when the kids would go to bed at 10 o'clock and if the household would finally settle down, I would go and sit in a corner somewhere on the floor where I knew nobody could find me. And I would just sob and sob and sob because I had so much heartache in my life. Where I had family issues in business, where I brought family into business, and there was big betrayal there. So I was like devastated, but nobody would know that this was going on. And a lot of us, we conditioned not to share. Not to show that I need help. I wasn't needing help. I was helping everybody around me. I had my life sorted. Weekends I would work through middle night till the next day. It was, the computer industry is very stressful. So, and there's no gratitude in that. They don't say, oh, thank you, that product you gave me, or that screen, or that report really made my life easier. It's just like, there's a problem. There's always problems. So finally, when on a Sunday, I had to say goodbye to my dad, and I was hooked. Brandon offered the advanced skills the next Saturday, and I was hooked, And on that Saturday, I uncovered a cell memory of actually being in an armed robbery. Now, I had lower back pain for years. My little one was born about 3-4 years later, and I was struggling, chiro every 6 weeks. And I don't know, there's nothing wrong with me. I didn't come to the journey because I'm sick, I thought. But anyway, I uncovered this armed robbery on my lower spine. And I woke up about 3 months later, and I thought, I haven't had any pain over the last 3 months, and I can't tell you when it stopped. And I was just fully functioning. And, you obviously get aches and pains sometimes when you move something heavy, but I was living in life. And after that weekend, I could not say to people, this is what this is, that how it changed my life. And I was going to anybody at the sports field, at this office at school, wherever we went, I would speak to people and saying, this is what I'm doing case studies. You want to be a case study? How can I help you? I hear you're struggling, there's a bit of ADHD going on, that kind of thing. And I would go to people's homes in the middle of work day. Now, if I didn't work, I didn't earn. We got paid by the hour. So I would take my flowers, because Brandon says, take your flowers, and take my script, and I would sit with people for a moment of stillness before, and then I would just say, I don't know. I really don't know, but this is how it's helped me. And I actually had a heart murmur before the journey intensive. In those days with life policies, you had to do annual health checks. So they uncovered I had a heart murmur, which is a double heartbeat, and went to the journey intensive, and the next 6 months later for the next checkup, it actually was gone. And when I did the advanced skills, I realized that I actually had a legacy stored inside my genetics of heart disease. My mum's side dad died of heart disease. My dad's side dad, granddad, so both granddads died of heart disease. And my dad died of heart disease. He was only 44 years old. He had 44, his first heart attack, many heart attacks, open heart surgery, and final heart attack. And you know what? My eldest brother turned 44, and in consciousness, we sort of all held our breath. Is he okay? He's okay. My sister turned 44. She's okay. And I turned 44. I'm third in line. And when I turned to actually the age of 41, when my dad got his first heart attack, I couldn't walk 30 paces. And I realized I was out of breath. And I was running. I was on the road runner. I'm active. I'm busy. I'm physically active. And I realized I'm in serious trouble here. I thought, well, if it's not them, it's got to be me. So I honestly believe that the journey saved my life, that I would not sit here with you today if I had not gone to the journey. And I'm deeply grateful. So wherever I went, everybody would hear. I would stand in a shopping queue, and if I hear something, it's like, you know what? And I would share something that maybe might inspire or whatever. So we're sitting at the sports field, and my aunt son is a rower, and I just want to share with you how innocently this work is. And that for me is the gift of this work. It's not, healing the physical body. That's a bonus. It's not the spiritual aspect where we actually find ourselves again and realize that you're beautiful just how you are, and the rest is just life happening. It's just what impact we can have when we're really present with the people around us. And this one boy had a scholarship for rowing at the school my youngest son was going to, and he was just sharing with us, and we were noticing he was sort of coming third, sometimes seventh, sometimes sixth, and it's like, what is going on with him? So at one of the regattas, we just stood under a tree and said, what's up with you? We recognize, we can see the talent, we know you've got talent, and somehow it's just not expressing itself. And he said, yeah, no, he's got some limiting beliefs around him. He's not good enough. He's not going to make it, or certain things happen. This is going to be the end result. And we said, oh, do you want to try something? Shall we give it a go? And he said, yeah, sure. So just there under the tree, John and I did some limiting belief changes with him. And we were on our way to one of the regattas a couple of months later, and he phoned me up. His coach actually phoned and said, this boy asked, will you do that thing that you do with him? Yeah, sure. And we got to the regatta, and it's just kids up and down, and boats up and down, and there's nowhere to go. It's a riverbank basically. So we sat under a tree, and I said to him, okay, let's see what's really going on. And we went inside this journey, inside the physical journey, and covered some memory and stuff, and 2 weeks later was the South African regatta, and he got his first silver again in like many, many years. And 2 months later, they had the South African trials where he went to the World Championship. And actually, so it brings tears to me. It's really, it breaks my heart, isn't it? But if we didn't speak, what would have happened, you know? And he actually got into the World Championships, and they did exceptionally well that year.
Wow.
So the parents were speaking and the kids were speaking, and another boy, he's got the same name, his mum phoned and said, you know, my son heard what happened to that boy, and he also wants to come. And this is teenage boys saying, please, I need help. I'm realizing I'm not fully potentialized. I'm not doing as well as I know I could. And this is an aspect of sort of what we call survivor's guilt, where this young boy uncovered they were going on holiday or coming back from holiday, and him and his brother had a fight of who's going to sit where, you know, and his brother sat where he wanted to sit. And there was a car accident, and the brother died. The eldest brother died, and this boy felt responsible that it should have been him. And how can he excel in life and live a full life when he shouldn't be here? You know, and we did the journey process. He came to wholeness and understanding it was his brother's time, like I did with my dad. It was his time to go. And he scored his first 99 runs in that next Saturday's cricket match. And he was just also excelling. And it was one little journey process that we did.
I find it so amazing, Lydia, because these kind of things can be stored inside someone for all of their life. And this is why, if anybody, whoever is listening, this is why we're so passionate about it. The same happened to me, Lydia. You know, when I came to the journey, there was nothing wrong in my life either. You know, I had it all sussed, and I just turned 40, I think. And I had studied homeopathy, and I was setting up practice, and I just wanted an extra tool for my clients. You know, I was happily married, happily, you know, great financially, no problems anywhere. And, you know, the interesting thing that happened to me, we did a little exercise in another advanced programs of one of the journeys, and Kevin, Brandon's husband, was taking us back to how our life was before the journey, and to just kind of tune and feel what it was like. And I really got it. I was kind of running on hyper. I was kind of so, how would I call it? It was hyper is probably the best word I can name it. And I thought, wow, I didn't even realize I was like this constantly. And there was a nervousness and obviously all of this, looking back at my life now, it was all underpinned with fear of this, that, and the other. And having done this work for so many years, it's kind of, life is beautiful and it's peaceful. And I still do journey work today, as do you, Lydia. But one of the things I felt the same as you did, I came away from that first weekend and I felt, I just want to shout it from the rooftops that this work is available. And I'm sitting here 25, that was 1996, you know, I'm sitting here, how many years, 26, 27 years later, and still shouting from the rooftops, you know, and just hoping that more and more people find out about us. And so just a little interim advert here on our Real Talk. You know, Lydia has got the Journey Intensive this weekend that we're talking about right now, coming up next weekend in, on South African time zone. So you can join Lydia, and it will be Brandon Bays. It will be, all the teachings will be with Brandon Bays, and Lydia will be hosting and taking the participants through the weekend, explaining all the process work and taking all the question and answers. So it's a very, very beautiful weekend, a very solid weekend that can actually change someone's life. And just in the same way as we have done it in Europe here, Lydia and her husband have offered the same reduction in price in South Africa, because things are equally as difficult. I think petrol is equally as expensive there as it is here in Greece. We just found out before we jumped on the call. And so everything is more expensive, and yet what we're earning is not going up. And so this is usually the time when everybody wants to hold on to their purse strings and not spend any money. And yet this is the most important time. So please, we've posted the link here. Please look it up and join. If you have any questions, ask somebody. Support at thejourney.com is always a good email address. And if it's a question for Lydia, then Wendy will pass it on to Lydia. So find us, find us, ask us, speak to us. And we're doing the same again for Europe. We're keeping our price low. And when I say low, I mean low. It's the equivalent to 149 euros for a 3-day event. We have never, ever done this. And we're doing it because we want more people to have access to those tools, that this powerful work that helps youngsters to excel in what they do, to help people who struggle with illness to heal naturally. And we're not saying you shouldn't go to the doctor, but there is a way that when we clear the onset, when we clear the problem that brought something or started something in the first place, when that is cleared, healing can happen so much more naturally. It can help us to live a more peaceful life. Internal peace is something that I think at this time so many people look, and if we can have it inside of us, if we can do it for us, we can share it with those around us. So that was just a little interim advert spoken by me personally.
Thank you.
Lydia, how old were you when you came to the journey?
34.
34. So yeah, I was just a few years older, and so you've been around. Well, and by the way, for South Africa is like a huge pearl in my heart, because I spent so much time in the early days of the journey in South Africa, because the book, when Brandon wrote her book, The Journey, it was published in UK and Commonwealth. And so the first country it was published in was the United Kingdom. And then the next one was either Australia or South Africa. And I can't remember which way it went, but the journey kind of took off. It was, I think, a #1 bestseller in South Africa for quite some time. And you could get the journey book even in a garage, where you put your car. There's often those things where you can get newspapers and popular books. In South Africa, you could get the journey book. Brandon was probably on every TV station, radio program available in South Africa at that time. And so much wonderful, so much great happened, because we had journey outreach. So there was journey work done in schools, in prisons. It was just amazing. I love South Africa with all my heart. And so to have you here today and be reminded of the TV program that you mentioned, I so remember making how this program was made. And it was prime TV time. It was Sunday evening. It was streamed. And so millions of people would have seen it at that time, and it was a beautiful program. So
South Africa was so ready for the work. We've gone through all the trauma from the past. People really wanted to work together and stand together, and it came at such a beautiful time when our country really needed it. And I feel our people were so ready. I mean, the seminar I went to with 550 people.
Were you in that racetrack place?
Kalami on the track.
Kalami.
Yeah, we walked into this big, massive room. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
We had about 6 trainers,
Yeah, no, it was phenomenal.
And it worked. It was absolutely amazing. We were talking about this event the other day, because it was just beyond anything, with, I think, a handful of trainers and this huge place with 550 people and TV screens on the stage so people could see Brandon.
It was phenomenal.
And we had everybody there, because South Africa used such a diverse cultural country. We had the white people there, we had the Africans there, we had the Zulus there, we had the Indians there, we had the Muslims there, with the Hindu, we had everything, you know, and it was absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. Tell us more.
For me, for the journey, and that's one thing, and it's where I miss the live events a little bit, I must admit, because, you know, people come there on the first day and they're all like isolated and insular, and, you know, they don't connect with anybody, we're all different, you know, and then comes the Sunday morning after the first processes on Saturday, and it's like all those barriers, especially in our country. I know there's racism and we all have our history, it is worldwide, but in our country we got the label of apartheid, and that just fall away, and we all just one, and we it's like we've known each other for forever, you know. And I felt that's why South Africa fell in love with journey work, because it's really one place where you can just be who you are, where you just take off that mask and this is me, you know. So yeah, it's you know, the reason why I share that I didn't come to the journey because of physical illness, because those days it was very much about cellular healing. And just for those people, if there are people listening here today that, you know, we often feel that we are okay, you know, we're not even honest with ourselves. We rather put this protection up because we've been hurt so much, we've been betrayed so much, maybe we've hurt other people so much that it's better to rather withdraw than hurt another person. And we sort of start believing that is okay, you know. I just thought that is how life is. You go through a hijacking, everybody goes through a hijacking. You go through not being loved or cared for, everybody goes through that. You know, you lose your job, everybody goes through that. Not, you know, you just pick up the pieces and you carry on, and not realizing the devastating impact it has on the physical being, on our physical bodies, is extraordinary. So if you recognize that, you know, when you go to bed at night, you really go and you just sleep deeply. Well, how do you go to sleep at night, you know? What's happening in the mind and the body? What aches and pains are there? You know, do you sleep with a heart where you feel, man, it was a good day, you know, I made a difference, you know? Or do you go to bed thinking you've got that resentment running and the words you want to say to the person that you never can say, or, you know, you've beat yourself up because you've been horrible to that person again, or your children, you know? The people closest to us always bear the brunt, you know. I know my kids did. And for me, I was so grateful when, as I went through, especially the practitioners program, and I worked on myself, how I watched my children change, you know, and shine and be helpful and kind with each other. And that is the gift for me. You know, the other stuff is really a byproduct in a way, which is a fabulous byproduct. But it's just being there really with each other. And we spend quality time with each other. We are with each other. You know, if that makes any sense. So one story I do want to share with you, which is, for me, it just still blows my socks off. This one lady came to me. She was in her 40s, wanted desperately to have a child, and had lots of IVFs done, and they just weren't taking. And she found the journey somehow, as you do. It seems to somehow find you. And she phoned me up and said, you know, she really wants to be pregnant, and the IVFs are not taking. Is the way we can help that the IVF at least takes. And, you know, I said, I don't know, as you do, let's see. I've seen miracles happen. I've been a miracle myself, so anything's possible. So she said, well, she's got no more eggs left. The doctor says it's actually not even possible. So I said, I don't know, let's see. So we did the journey processes, and they were going to give it a last shot 2 weeks later. And she phoned me up 2 weeks later, and she said, I just came from the doctor. And he said to me, you know, I can't do the IVF. And she was devastated in that moment when he said that. And she said, it's because I'm pregnant, you know. And it wasn't even possible for her to naturally fall pregnant. She had no eggs left. Yet her soul and the baby's soul, it was just a destiny it was meant to be. So, you know, that is your part in life where you're at, where is something that you want to manifest in your life, whether it is maybe a child or a beautiful job or a relationship or health, or just getting your passion back, getting your, you know, joy back in life. Maybe this is for you, you know. We are here, we are showing up this weekend. Are you going to show up? Are you going to be part of it, you know?
You know, I'm just being reminded, Lydia, as you're telling this story, because we've got very, very fortunate to be living in Greece ever since COVID happened. So life changed quite magically and considerably, but we're living in Greece. And now that COVID is kind of slackened off a little bit, this is the first year we have quite a lot of visitors coming. And so it's kind of a steady stream starting from the first week of June. And there's one couple coming, and they actually live in Los Angeles, and long-term friends of Brandon. And myself and my husband, Cliff and I have known them for many years. And same story with them. And the lady of this couple came to me and said, Gaby, would you do, and she hasn't really done advanced journey work, but I think she came to Journey Intensive, and she said, we really want a child, and whatever we do, it's not working. And I said, let's do a process, let's see what's happening. And so we did a journey process, and again, in no time at all, she actually fell pregnant. But why I'm saying that and why I'm really triggered is because they are coming, the whole family is coming to visit, and they didn't just have one girl, they had two girls, and the oldest is 18 years now.
Oh,
and
my
the
goodness.
younger one is 15. And so they're kind of, in a way, they're journey kids, because there's something that really, a block that needed to be removed. And once that block was removed, it was, that the child was welcomed into this world. So there are countless journey babies around the world.
It can be something as innocent.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I said, sorry for interrupting you. I just got triggered by it, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm getting
It's
a
so
visit from a
beautiful.
child that I processed.
And 18 years later, wow,
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. And I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say something that was quite interesting. Sorry, it's gone.
Yeah, that was my fault.
No, it's cool. It was just that, when you don't know, and you don't need to know, that is the beauty. We think we know what the issues are. We think that, I would never go and see somebody for therapy. I don't need therapy. I never needed therapy until I started doing journey work and just realized how much, those moments when you thought that's just how life is. That's just how people treat you, and that's just who you are. If you're here in society, that's just your place you're going to be for the rest of your life, that there's no getting out of it. And that is the big lie that I saw, and a lot of people, we all buy into this lie that there is no other option. That is just how it is. And the gift of just stopping and saying, what is really going on here? And actually finding that moment where it may be an insignificant memory. It may be something that just, you wanted mommy and daddy's attention that moment, and they were not present. And you thought, well, I haven't got a voice. And you shut down that voice, and you're never able to express, you're never able to be open and honest with other people. And what I really wanted to say is it can, not falling pregnant can be as simple as saying, I never want to have children if this is the environment that they grow up in. Maybe people grow up in a violent, abusive relationship or household, and they see that externally or have directly experienced it. And they may innocently say in a moment of hurt or pain that I never want to have kids if this is the world that the kids are coming into. And you just lift the lid of that old vow or belief, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the miracles take place.
Beliefs are really quite an amazing thing, because it's almost like they hold us in a cell. If we hold strong to a belief that this is so, I cannot heal, I can't do this, then it's very, very difficult to break through, and all of these beliefs can actually be cleared and can be let go of. And just like cell memories or old traumatic memories that sit in ourselves, so do beliefs, so do vows, and they almost kind of construct our everyday life. And there are so many beautiful side processes to the journey, and even that, you do on the first 2 days, you do quite a bit of that, and then on the third day you add more tools in. So it's very, very rich and very, very strong. And what can happen in that short period of time is
it's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
I worked with somebody online from actually Dubai. I got this call out of nowhere and said, please, you need to work with me. I can't work with you. I can't do anything. No, I'm seeing my doctor in India next week, and I've just had they diagnosed a tumor in my bladder, and you need to work with me. It's like, okay. But anyway, so I quickly went to Google just how long the bladder area takes to regenerate itself. And it was, I think, something like 42 or 47 days. I said, well, okay, I don't know. Anything is possible. So we did the process on those days on Skype. And the person went to his doctor, and there wasn't even the sign that he had a tumor, that there was anything in the bladder. And it was less than 7 days later. It's like,
wow.
Mind can't figure this out. How can we possibly know, How can we possibly know? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very passionate about this work and about life, and for all of us to really live a full life. Life still happens. Even here, we had huge trauma with flooding happening, and we ourselves were not at risk personally, but our property was a bit at risk, and we had to step into action. And, so life happens. Now, the old me would have spiraled downward and just got worse and got myself, like I say, knickers in a knot. Sorry for the expression. But I would have got myself so wind up. And here we are saying, okay, we're in a crisis, let's take action. What needs to happen? We could stop, take a step backwards and saying, okay, what is the next step? So it doesn't mean that life doesn't happen. Life still happens. It's just who and what you up in life. Who are you? Are you that crisis and spiraling down, or are you that moment of saying, ooh, buggers, all right, what's next? How are we going to become creative in actually resolving
and always, exactly, and always returning back to the still point inside. And I think that's probably one of the greatest gifts. You said that at the beginning, the healing stories are almost like a side effect. And for me, the biggest gift the journey gave me was to be able to open into this infinite intelligence, this love, this presence of source, whatever people call it, and then from here we uncover old traumatic memories and we can clear them. But this is actually who we are. And then you realize, once you get a little taste of it, you realize that this is the truth of who you are, and you can start living your life from here. And that, to me, is the biggest gift. And everyone who walks around on planet Earth with that little light inside can ignite that light in someone else. And so it is and has been a passion of mine and everyone that I know in the journey and have known for so many years, like you, Lydia. And this is why I wanted to start this real talk and talk about the passion, the enthusiasm. Enthusiasm means with God, to be fully in life, be fully engaged in life. And yes, we can't change the external circumstances, but how we respond and how we react on the inside is what changes. And if I can return to this still point and allow creativity to come through and just ask, how can I support? How can I help? How can I do this? And the answers always come, undoubtedly. And they can only come if there is some quiet somewhere. So for that, I'm so deeply grateful to Brandon for having birthed the journey into life and for having shared it now with millions of people who have either read her book or who have come to our seminars. And now with the ability of offering this work online, which everybody can do it from the comfort of their home. And so, yes, it was great when we could hug each other, but you needed to travel to a venue. Many people needed to stay at a hotel. It added another God knows what amount to the cost of the event. And now we can do it from home. And all we need to do is just give ourselves a little bit of time. And when we own those tools, the journey tools, we can use them for the rest of our lives. If we get a glimpse of this presence, the truth of who we are, we can live from that. And that, to me, has always been the biggest gift of the journey. And I just wish that more people have that, because then the big issues that we have in the world probably wouldn't be quite so big or traumatic.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah. That outside world does not define you, you know. So when
No.
you open the peace and stillness and the love that is here, nothing can change that. It's not going to go anywhere. It is who you are. It's always here. And I'm also deeply grateful for Brandon. You know, she could have healed the tumor and carried on with her life, you know. And yet she had the deeper realization that humanity, we need something else from the traditional way, you know.
And she lost everything. You know, it was almost like she had to lose everything in order to find who she was, who she really was. That she is this love, that she is this presence that always is, that doesn't come and doesn't go. And that is the gift of the journey. That is what she's so beautifully sharing with us. And I need to say also, apart from Lydia doing a journey intensive in South Africa or on the South African time zone, which is pretty much European time zone, this coming weekend, I'm actually doing one for the Israel community, because Brandon is, for the first time ever since COVID started, is actually doing her first business trip this coming weekend. She's speaking at a wellness conference in Israel. So if you're hearing this and you are somehow connected to Israel, she's speaking at the Yama Festival in Herzliya. And we have a journey intensive towards the end of June. And also the link is here posted in the chat box. And the same price goes for that. So you have the code that you need for booking that price on the landing page. Come and find it. That's at the end of June. And then we have some more international events on all the major time zones again in September. So we keep offering this work. All we need you to do is come and join. Come and join this tribe of truth lovers.
We call it a divine experiment. Come and join our divine experiment.
Join a divine experiment and have no expectations and see what happens. And funny enough, one of the things that, same as you, I didn't know I had anything wrong with me. You know, I just felt like I had it all sussed. And it was only afterwards that I realized I really needed to start to work on myself first before I could really work with people. And that was a huge realization and a big gift. So, and we all have it, you know, we either kind of create these things in our own lifetime, and much of it we bring in with us because we are just a makeup of mum and dad and their mum and dad, and whatever issues they have somehow are reflected in our DNA, in our cells. And yet there is a very, very simple, basic, real process that can help us to clear these issues. And when we clear them from ourselves, we also help those around us to be more open, more free, and especially our children, as you so beautifully said. So if there is anything that has resonated in our little chat here today, in our real talk, then please come and join us, either Lydia or me or Arnold when he does it in September, or Yolana in Australia. So whatever time works for you. But it's a huge gift. That's all I can say. So thank you very much for joining us today. Lydia, have you got any final words here for today?
Yeah, you were, sorry, I was actually earlier going to say, you know, you were saying about the processes we do over the weekend, and on Monday we're actually going to do a DNA process where we can clear those old genetics that we speak of, you know, that isn't ours anymore. Maybe it served the forefathers, whoever, and the lifestyles and the lives we live today, it doesn't work anymore, doesn't serve us anymore. And for me, definitely clearing the heart disease genetics. You know, if I go to a medical doctor and they ask me what your history is, like, oh, do I have to tell you? Because it doesn't apply here anymore. You know? And I know that children are free from that genetics. It's not theirs anymore. You know, if they were to develop heart disease, then it's something that they've manifested in their own lives. It's not some old conditioning passed on through the genetics or through behavior that they bought into. So just to know that I know the medical profession says that it's in the genes, it's the destiny, and we have found it not to be true, not necessarily to be true. So, so come and join us. It's an extraordinary weekend. It's a powerful weekend. It's really an innocent weekend. And all we can do is create a big embrace of love for you to say, come on, we're in the same boat. We've been there. We're still there. We still do journey work. I thought my abundance retreat, there's nothing else. What else is there in 2004, I think it was. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then we started practitioners programs. Oh my, you're kidding. And then all the other work after that. And even still now, it's like, no, what else, And it does for me, it brings in that joy. It really makes me feel younger. It makes me feel more vibrant in life. I look younger. I look the same as what I did when I was 18, 20 years old. Maybe just the gray hair is different. But, it definitely is a youth drug, if you want to call it that. Not as a drug, but it's a process where when we remove all those stresses internally that we don't even know we have, our bodies are so stressed inside. Once you remove that, you can actually, your body can go back to its natural state. It can go back to the vibrance that's here, the health and the vitality that is here. And every single person on earth deserves to live a full life, a healthy life, a vibrant life. I don't believe we're on this earth to struggle the way most of us are struggling, health-wise or whatever area in your life. I feel that we all deserve freedom and real freedom. These are tools you can do when you're at work and somebody triggers you. You will have the tools to know what to do with that, And if it's a bigger issue, you'll know to call somebody and say, hey, I need some help. Do you need help? Can we help each other here? And actually step into real work. We're rolling our sleeves up in the journey. It really takes courage to say, I recognize I need help.
Perfect.
And it's the greatest gift you're going to give yourself. It's the greatest gift. So I pray that you join us. I put big prayers out and blessings and say, please come and join us. We're here. And if you need support, if you need financial support, just email me, chat to us, and we'll see how we can help. We all need help, especially now. The last 2 years have been tough. And here in South Africa, we've had a couple of disasters. It's been tough, So come and talk to us. We really are here for you. And we mean that. It's not just words we say lightly. We're here. We really are, because we've been where you are. Thank you, Gaby.
Lydia, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope that however many people joined, that we somehow find a way of sharing it across to your Facebook pages. And if you're a practitioner and you're listening to this, share it. These are the kind of words that people want to hear. So thank you so much for being with us. And I speak soon. Thank you. Thank you, and namaste, everybody, and see you again next week. Bye.
Thank you.